Hello everyone, my name is Rishabh Gupta and I welcome you all here in this webinar session being conducted by TNV Academy as your host of the day. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Ajay Bajpayee. In this webinar today, Mr. Ajay Bajpayee will discuss about non-conformity and report writing, and today's session is in continuation to our previous sessions on non-conformities. Mr. Ajay Bajpayee has audited several organizations for various management system standards and has helped several others for their implementation. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Bajpayee, has done his bachelor's in engineering in metallurgy. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 37001, 22001, 27001, 13485, 22301, and 50001 standards. He has an industrial experience of around 15 plus years as implementer of management system standards and around 32 plus years in auditing and certification. He has been imparting training to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and their certification and implementation. It was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Bajpayee. I may request Mr. Ajay Bajpayee now to please take over and start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh, and the team of participants. We have been discussing this subject of NC in last four webinars, and today is the concluding session where we will be finalizing our discussions and our subject on NC. The subject looks very simple, but we have been discussing the importance and the value addition angle of it. So we will be summarizing all those points today. And report writing in case of NC is conducted by who? The auditor. So auditor selection and auditor approval are the key areas of discussions for today, because the auditor, if he is approved, appropriately selected with the requirement of the 19,011 17021 and certification body procedures and requirements of auditing and certification, then NC becomes a activity like value addition, and the organization being audited will respect the NC written by the auditor, and they will move on with that. So auditor approval is important for the correct reporting, because if auditor is not right to be used for the purpose of a particular standard and a subject or the clauses selected in the audit plan, then correct reporting may not be there. So it is important for the correct reporting. Then auditor need to also study the process of the client, which code the client processes, products and services are following, and what is their scope. This needs to be understood by the auditor in advance before he is starting his activity of auditing in the client's organization. He has to understand the audit process and what they have done before, maybe into the internal auditing when they have done, or when we are going for surveillance audit. So what is the process of audit of client at which we are arriving today? That is important to understand. Auditor will have the codes allotted. Different NACE codes are there, IEF code qualifications are there, various ways they are approved, which we'll discuss today, and we go on into that. How he selected an auditor, and how the approval is done is based upon his experience on job. The code allocation is done with the experience of the auditor on job, so that he understands the requirement of the client processes. We also count the general experience of auditor into auditing, because he has seen a lot of life into auditing. He had a number of audits, so he had that experience to back him up to get him approved as an auditor. So we need to study the CV, the resume, his not the profile. We always say We always say that CV should be in detail so that we understand on what kind of product, processes, what kind of companies he had, on job experience, hands-on experience, so that he can be approved with the respective codes. Education in another very important area when we are going to have a selection and approval of the auditor. His auditor courses which he attended with respect to various standards is again equally important. He should have attended 9001 2015 upgraded course if he had done the old course. So upgradation is important. Again, the standards are always being revised as we discussed. So NC is very much related to that. That lead auditor courses should be attended by a approved body, and we need to verify the course certificates, and then our code allotment team will allot the code, reviewing all above 5 6 point, and maybe conducting the interview and discussions with the auditor to understand whether he can be allotted which kind of a code. And once the codes are allotted, they also need to be reviewed and updated with respect to the changing technology and the requirements of the standards and the requirements of the board. So he needs to be reviewed for the allotted code, and codes can be upgraded further, or codes can also be reduced depending upon the feedback coming from the team of auditors, and the feedback from the maybe accreditation boards, and the feedback from the clients, because certification bodies we have all this process to find out the whether the appropriateness of codes is there with the auditor or not as on date. Then we go further. How are we going to further do the selection of auditor and deployment process of auditor for the audit is going on as per the audit plan. We also need to verify that he has conducted the audits in similar courts or not previously. He has been familiar with the similar processes or not. This all comes from the review of reports, review of the feedback as we discussed. And auditor needs to involve in various stages of audit. Sometimes the auditor is, we have seen situation where he is asked to join an audit in case of some emergency situation, or by quick basis, by mistakes of somebody not being available, or being absent due to some various reasons. So those kinds of situations, the performance of auditor is not up to the mark. So he needs to be involved into various stages of audit. Since sometimes the inquiry has come, so maybe when the selection of auditor is being done, the audit planning team can start discussing with the auditor from that stage to have an effective audit conducted, a value-added audit to be conducted for that purpose. Involve in certification process. If you are involving him appropriately into the stage one, stage two, maybe when the documents were received in the beginning of the process, when the inquiry form was filled, application was form was filled, and some queries were need to be discussed with some of the team of the auditors. So his involvement makes a greater impact onto the audit results. Auditor also is, one person who will be developing a good relation between the certification body, the client, and the entire team of the audit, because he is in the front when the audit is being conducted, whether it's online audit or offline audit, but he is the face of the certification body, he is the face of the audit team. So he helps into the good relation development. And we as an entire team of the certification body, we need to understand and feel and respect the auditors, that he is one of the important element of the audit activity. And also again, he is a key part of the certification body certification process, starting from receipt of the documentation to the stage one and stage two, and thereafter also when the NCs are raised while conducting the audit, the client is submitting the uh, corrective action plan, he is sending back the report format and evidences to the certification body review team. So that time also the auditor needs to be a part of the process, so that any questions, any clarifications, and acceptance of NC is going on in a smooth way. So he needs to be involved adequately. Then we again go back to the NC format. This we have discussed also in details earlier webinars. But while we are discussing, it is always important that yes, we understand this NC form appropriately with the help of serial number in place, date in place, name of the company, department, standard with revision because standards keep on revising all the time in years to come. We have seen that. So revision status needs to be given to the report. Process and function, the department needs to be identified in the report. Then clause number, sub clause to be recorded in the report format, NC format. Category, major, minor, or even if we are having a report as an observation, this needs to be clarified into the NC format. In principle, what is a non-conformity? Non-fulfillment of a requirement. It is a requirement of the standard clause, subclause, or it can also be a requirement with respect to the standard operating procedure of the company, their own company procedures, the legal requirements. So whenever they are not fulfilled, there is a non-conformity. So we need to record the objective evidence in the NC writing whenever we are going to fill the non-conformity format. Auditor need to sign, as we discussed, signature gives an authority that yes, I am the person, I am the auditor who is raising this minor or major non-conformity with the inclusion of objective evidences and references. Then auditor need to accept it, the quality manager or the stores manager where the NC has taken place, where NC going to be written. He needs to accept that, he needs to sign it. Again, the documentation of root cause analysis is important. The client, the department need to do a root cause analysis, and then the correction activity, what can be done so that this non-conformity can be corrected within the shortest span of time depending upon the practical implication of the non-conformity and the departmental situation. Then we go into corrective actions. After corrections, after root cause analysis, we need to identify and write the corrective action as an auditee. When we have understood the situation of the non-conformity and we are going to see that yes, long-term actions are taken, repetition of the similar NC is not there, similar NC situations are not there, so the corrective actions are documented. Responsibility needs to be defined into the NC format so that when we go for the closings, we can ask the similar team and similar persons, yes, what action they have taken. Then proposed implementation date. NC writing format, NC will always have a date with respect to the closures. Sometimes we have seen it being written, yes, we will be doing it soon, it will be done fast. All that is not acceptable. So the date should be identified into the NC format. Then assessment is done by the auditor again, whether all that has been done above is correctly documented or not. And then we are going for verification with respect to the dates arriving at the closure of the actions. So we do a on-site verification most of the times, or sometimes there can be documentation situation. So next internal audit cycle or next third-party audit cycles, next surveillance audit that can be verified. But again, the evidence needs to be documented adequately by the auditee, and the same is to be assessed by the auditor when they are going for the verification of the closure action, and the date needs to be identified very clearly so that when we go into analysis mode we are clear. Going further, what are the results, desired results? NC writing will give us a situation where implementation verification is conducted. Yes, implementation is going on as desired as per requirement, so we can verify that. NC written in the sense as we discussed earlier, the value addition is achieved by a NC which is well written, well documented by the auditor, well accepted by the auditor. Even if we are not going for certification or any such thing, sometimes internal controls can be done by monitoring the NC form tracking. The number of non-conformities has been raised into last audit, internal audit, then internal controls can be verified. The organization team is also able to understand the root cause analysis concept by getting into NC writing, NC format, because that is very, very important activity for development and improvement of the management system. Concept of correction is understood by a NC format. Concept of corrective action is further, you know, clarified within the organizational team and with the help of and support of the auditor while conducting the audit, internal or external. And when an organization is willing to go for a third party certification, then NC is discussed, NC is direction shown, bring us closer to, as an auditee, bring us closer to third party certification. As we go on closing the non-conformity, we move closer to the third party certification audit, stage 1 or stage 2, whatever is the situation. Then continual improvement. NC takes the organization on a path of continual improvement by having NC situation arrived, NC identified, NC being closed, NC closed, and so improvement, continual improvement takes place. Again, using the principles of PDCA, plan, do, check, and act. So these are the desired results which the NC writing and effective and competitive NC will show us the direction towards the desired results of the management system implementation. Then when we are into report writing, form is being filled, we understand what has been missed, you know, by work instruction, in work instruction or procedures, or by operator or by machines and so on. How missed, we understand how it has been missed, not trained maybe, not having the appropriate documentation or correct documentation, or not at all having the documentation while implementing the operations into the organization. Then documentation was a misplace, or operator has missed it, or it was a miss by machines, or QA/QC plans were not effectively documented or were not available as we discussed in the last point. NC can be because of many or multiple system failure also, like incorrect document has been revised but the old document is being used, obsolete document is being used, training has not been done on the correct documentation. So the system failure can be one of the regions and one of the major reasons for the uh, incompetent implementation of management system into auditing. When we say it is a documentation failure also, when initially the documents are submitted at the time of internal audit or as per the third party audit, stage 1 or stage 2 audits, the revision status, the mismatch is found. So the documentation failure can be one of the causes of non-conformity. There can be external factors also. The expectations and the requirements of the customers or the legal situations have changed, but the same has not been updated and may not have reached the user department or user person, user operator in time. So there is a non-conformity. Few NC situations are controllable, which can be controlled immediately by making, as we discussed, the corrections or corrective actions. Some are uncontrollable, when we are doing a detailed root cause analysis, so we understand that some of the situations were not controllable immediately. So we call uncontrollable, and we may take time depending upon the NC situation. So as we nature of the NC will take a decision on this kind of a situation. So we discuss in NC format when NC is raised, who is going to take actions? It is the operator or manager or the entire company. Mean detailed actions needs to be taken place. Then who will initiate the actions? We always say that yes, it should be done after a brainstorming. Action should not be decided ad hoc decisions, immediate decisions. Yes, yes, this can be done. Yes, yes, we'll do it immediately. No, discuss in a team, decide, conduct a sort of brainstorming, and then take a decision on what can be done to finally close the NC and get benefit out of this NC closing. Then tracking is again an important element. Time period and responsibility, a practical time period, documentation into NC format, and defining and designing the decision taking on the responsibility are key elements. So tracking needs to be done effectively with respect to that. Then how closings are to be done? NC is raised. Now we have filled 6, 7, 8 columns as we discussed earlier. Now it is the closing to be done. So with respect to the time period, as stated and documented by the auditee and accepted by the auditor, and then responsibility, and then we do it by documenting the objective evidences with respect to the non-conformities. We also need to learn lessons from the internal stage 1, stage 2 audit, whatever had been the situation where the non-conformity has been raised. So we need to update our team with respect to training, documentation, and so on, and the implementation is going on in the right direction further. And then these actions are needed to be converted into the organizational knowledge, and the team can learn. It becomes a future learning for the entire organizational team, and they understand that yes, now the documents are updated, now this NC has been closed, and these are the lessons learned. So we go further and more improvement following the management principles and PDCA, the quality circles, and so on are brought into the management system. Certification and improvements are short for. Then NC writing gives us a lot of further knowledge, further guidance. That forms are filled. As we have discussed the formats of minor non-conformity situation. We have discussed the NC writing in case of major non-conformity where system have failed. So the information and evidences needs to be filled appropriately into the format so that the status is clear. And we need to enhance the effectiveness of NC report formats by writing down the maximum possible details so that the NC is self-explanatory. Second or third person or second or third auditor when he is going for audits or when it is reviewed by other external teams, then the concept of the NC must be clear. Once the support is by the maximum details and maximum evidences into the NC report format. And as the NC report format is going on, we should be recording and updating the progress as per the responsibilities, dates, evidences getting generated by the implementation of the revised documentation, by the implementation of revised training of the operators or manager or top management, whatever has been the situation of the non-conformity. We have discussed earlier, and again we are discussing that accurate and precise calculated information is important with the evidence into the NC format. NC writing needs to be supported with the correct information. So auditor needs to be calculating the requirement of the products, processes, requirements of the temperature, humidity, the speed controls, whatever has been defined by QA QC plan or incoming inspection report, or the formats as desired by the customer, as desired by the requirement of the next process, maybe depending upon the situation. So those evidence needs to be clearly documented by accurate calculations. Sometimes when we go into the closures of the non-conformities, and since there the accuracies were not there into earlier NC writing, we get into problems and the closings are not effective and the desired results are not achieved. Also, we need to review the facts and figures, the data with the involvement of auditor, auditee, team, and top management as and when required. Depending upon the situation, depending upon the what function, what topic, what agenda, what clause, what department we are auditing, we need to keep a focus as an auditor onto the facts and figures always. Don't go by feelings, don't accept the feeling, don't accept the thoughts of the authority. Look at the facts and figure, look at the registers, look at the formats, look at the folders, look at the software output outcome requirements, depending upon whatever the implementation is being done by the organization. So this is a critical area, we need to understand this. We go further, we come into the analysis mode. Whenever we conduct the audit, we have a lot of reports, a lot of NC formats have been filled. So what do? We need to study as a team of management representative, management coordinator, you know, MS coordinator, whatever name is there of the respective team members or whatever the functions have been defined and documented. They need to study these audit report formats. There can be four, five, six, whatever is the output of the internal audit or external audit reports. So we always say cross-functional teams. So because there are different kinds of non-conformities we have, which involves the management team, which involves maintenance team, which may involve engineering team, which may involve the design department functions, which may involve the HR. So decisions of the further improvement which can be envisaged from the audit reports and the reports require a team working. So that is what the study should be done as a team to come to effective, good, positive conclusions for the improvement. And NC is there for improvement. We discussed, we again emphasize that NC brings improvement into the management system. So NC writings, when we have several writings of the report, 5, 6, 7, or summary of the 1 year, 2 year reports, we need to study that. And then we need to monitor the data summary of the agency reports. It can be NC wise analysis, it can be a clause wise analysis, it can be function wise analysis or department wise analysis, or it can be unit wise analysis, or when we have multinational units in many countries, so country wide unit analysis is being done. So these are various ways of understanding the data and finding the path of improvement out of this analysis. That is what is the aim of the management system auditing and NC writing. Then effective auditing of the NC formats. We have got a file available with us where NC reports are there, the summary is there. So this again needs to be audited. This function of internal auditing also needs to be audited effectively by utilization of experienced auditor. We always say that because this is a function which needs to go into lot of details and lot of understanding of the NC writing concepts is required. So mostly into the internal audit and second party and third party audits, the more senior auditor, more experienced auditor who has the concept clear on internal auditing, and they know yes, NC means value addition, NC means showing the positive direction to the organization department. So they, when they conduct the audit and when they track the functions of internal auditing and NC writing of the organization, whether internal or external, then the results are showing us good direction for the management system improvements. And that by that way, customer satisfaction improvement, reduced reduction of customer complaint becomes automated. Then we also need to conduct effective review into the what is called management review meeting or management information system. As we discussed earlier, many Organizations will give different names to this. So whatever way they want to conduct it, by whatever name they want to conduct it, idea is to see that yes, internal audit has been done, external audit has been done, and they have NCs in front of them, and those NCs have been actioned upon. The action is taking place. Somewhere the actions are under process. Somewhere the actions have been completed 80%. Somewhere actions are completed fully. So it depends upon what is the status of NC reports when we are conducting the management review meeting. Sometimes in the third party auditing, the auditor will say, yes, sir, everything is closed. But that discussion and that decision has to be taken with a lot of careful understanding of the NCG status. Just by saying that all is closed is not good. We need to go into the details into the by management review meeting function, by involving the team of internal auditors, by involving the team of the department and managers who were there to say that yes, this has been done. We have changed the machine parameters now. We have changed the location of the machines. We have changed the frequency of the checking. We have revised the control plans. We have revised the incoming inspection plans. So now the effective close is done with the evidence. So those kind of details needs to be discussed and reported, and minutes of meeting needs to be developed that way so that the further tracking can be done, and this management review meeting actions are implemented effectively following again the PDCA. Yes, planning has been done, implementation has been done, actions has been completed, and now they are also being checked and further tracking is going on. So once all this happens, then an effective system of NC writing is going on in the desired direction, and we can get and derive results which are positive for the growth of the organization, for the maturity of the management system that is being helped by non-conformity writing, non-conformity reports. And when all this happens, the theme of the management system standards and certification is moving on to a direction of achievement of improvement. The clause 10. We are now achieving improvement on a continual basis with the support of effective NC writing, effective NC reports. We have discussed the positive NC reports and positive NC writing, which means the improvement will come into the system. It is not a fault finding exercise. NC is not a fault finding exercise. It is a fact finding exercise. So we are finding the facts and we are trying to see that yes, organizational management systems are put onto the track of improvement, and they from internal audit cycle 1 to 2 further improvements are there, 2 to 3 further improvements are there. Then stage 1 brings out some more issues, non-conformity or observations, whatever is reported by the auditors, then further improvement. And then stage 2 again may or may not have NC. If there are NC, they are written down clearly as we discussed. So improvements will come in a very, very logical way. So we thought of concluding this sessions of non-conformity. This we have discussed in last 4 sessions. So today we have concluded the NC writing. What are the NCs? Who is responsible for NC writing? Then NC acceptance, NC root cause analysis, corrections, corrective actions. Then it is to be done by a trained and code allotted auditor. If an auditor is not having the knowledge and experience of that particular process, the activity of the scope which he is auditing, then he may not get into a situation of value additions and improvements may not be there. So we need to always see that we are going to have a selection and situation where auditor is right for the purpose. He is there with the theme of bringing improvement into the department or the organization. He is following the principles of 19,011 and as per the requirement of 17021-1 2015. And we can see that yes, management systems are being improved with the help of an effective and good non-conformity report writing and good and effective closing by using the entire team of the organization as per the requirement of the non-conformity, and we work as a team to move on further. When we look into the link for certification, our websites are there: TNV system certification, TNV certification, and guardian assessment. And we have got very detailed websites available where you can learn more into understanding of the non-conformity of the system of certification and how value addition can be brought about. So this is what I thought I will have a discussion today onto the NC writing, NC reporting, NC closing with the help of trained and experienced auditor desired for the operations as per the scope and the codes of the organizations. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, we can discuss that.
No, sir, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Anyone else any question? They can ask now, or they can ask, by sending us a this thing which you will explain them now. Yeah.
I think team has no questions. I would say that if you have any questions later on, so this particular video will be posted on our YouTube channel known as TNB Academy, and you can post your questions in the comment section of the video, and we will be passing those questions to Mr. Ajay Bajpayee, and I will be really happy answering them. We can come to the conclusion of this particular session. Thank you, Ajay sir. I would say that I'm glad that we have been benefited by the knowledge shared by you on such a vast and complex terminology, which is also a critical element in the implementation of the standard. I can also say with much confidence that our participants must have enjoyed the context of today's webinar, and it will add value to their expertise and domain of work. I also thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of TNB Academy for giving your valuable time and accepting our invitation to be the guest speaker for today. I also thank all the participants for taking out time from their schedule and joining us in the webinar today. I hope to see you all again soon. I wish you all the best of luck on behalf of TNB Academy for your future endeavor. Thank you once again.